All right, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something pretty deep, existential therapy. Now, hang on, because this isn't about diagnosing a condition or anything like that. Really, it's more like a guide, a framework for wrestling with those huge, fundamental questions that we all think about from time to time. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? Why are we even here? What's the point of it all? How am I supposed to find meaning when I know life is, well, finite? These questions can be pretty heavy and honestly, a little scary. And that's exactly where existential therapy comes in. It doesn't pretend to have all the answers. Instead, it gives us the tools to explore the questions for ourselves. So, what are we really talking about here? Well, at its heart, it's a philosophical approach to therapy. It starts with this big idea: we are all free. And because we're free, we're also responsible for our own choices and our own lives. So the whole point isn't to cure something, but to really dig into what are often called the givens of life, the big, unavoidable truths, so you can start living a life that feels genuinely you. Okay, the pioneers, forged in fire. And that's what's so powerful about this whole approach. I mean, these ideas weren't born in some stuffy academic setting. No way. They came from intense, lived experience. Let's talk about one of the key figures behind it all. This quote comes from Viktor Frankl, and to understand its power, you have to know his story. Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. I mean, just imagine, in the middle of the most horrific, unimaginable suffering, he discovered this incredible truth. He saw that you can take everything from a person, everything, but you can't take away their freedom to choose how they respond, their attitude. That's the one thing that's always yours. So out of this profound experience, Frankl developed something he called logotherapy. It literally translates to therapy through meaning. And this was a game changer. You see, back then, Freud was all about the will to pleasure, and another psychologist, Adler, was focused on the will to power. But Frankl said, no, you're both missing the main point. He believed the most powerful human drive, the thing that keeps us going, is our will to meaning. We have this deep, fundamental need for a purpose. All right, the core, the givens of life. These are the fundamental challenges we all have to face. So what does this philosophy really boil down to? Well, existential thinkers point to four, let's call them givens of being human. These are the core anxieties that every single one of us has to deal with, whether we realize it or not. Okay, first up, and it's a big one, is the reality of death. The simple, unavoidable fact that our time here is limited. We're not going to live forever. And yeah, that awareness creates this sort of low-level anxiety for pretty much everyone. But here's the twist. It's not supposed to just be a downer. In fact, it can be the ultimate motivator. It's what can push us to live a really full life, right now. So we're basically faced with two choices here, right? On the one hand, you can kind of live in denial. Just act like you've got all the time in the world, live superficially, and put everything off. Or you can face it. You can accept that your time is finite. And when you do that, something amazing happens. It becomes this incredible catalyst. It lights a fire under you to stop messing around and actually build a meaningful life today. All right, the second big given is freedom. And I know what you're thinking. Freedom, that sounds great. But from an existential point of view, it's actually a burden, a heavy one. Philosophers call it radical freedom. It means there's no script. We are the authors of our own lives. And that sounds empowering, but it also means we're responsible for everything, every choice, every action. That's a lot of pressure. And this leads to a pretty wild paradox, doesn't it? We hate it when we don't have choices, but we get super anxious when we do. So what do? We try to escape. We try to dodge that responsibility by saying things like, oh, that's just how I am, as if we're some fixed, unchangeable thing. The goal of therapy here is to help us stop running and actually embrace that we're the ones in the driver's seat, that we absolutely have the power to change things. Okay, number 3 is the pain of isolation. And this one can feel a little harsh. It's this idea that at the end of the day, we're fundamentally alone. We come into this world alone and we leave it alone. No matter how much we love someone, there's always this small gap between us. But, and this is a huge but, this isn't some tragic fate. It's actually the starting point for creating real, authentic relationships. Think about it like this. If you can't stand being by yourself, you're going to use other people to fill that empty space inside you. Your relationships become needy, clinging, almost desperate. But if you can learn to be okay on your own, to really have a strong relationship with yourself first,
Then you can connect with others from a place of strength, not weakness. You build relationships that add to your life instead of just plugging a hole.
And that brings us to our fourth and final given, the search for meaning, or more accurately, the challenge of meaninglessness. Frankl had a great term for the feeling this creates, the existential vacuum. It's that hollow, empty feeling you get when you wonder, what's the point? Because, let's face it, there's no instruction manual for life. We're thrown into this world and faced with this massive task of figuring out our own purpose. So here's the kicker. Meaning isn't something you just find one day, like you're on a treasure hunt. No, it's something you create. You build it, piece by piece. A big part of therapy is helping people sift through all the values they were handed, by their parents, by society, and figure out which ones actually fit. It's about designing a blueprint for living that is 100% your own. Okay, the process, the existential journey. So that's all the big picture theory. But what does this actually look like when you're in the room with a therapist? What happens? And this is probably the most important thing to understand about how it works. This isn't about a therapist using a bunch of fancy techniques on you. It's not a bag of tricks. The real magic, the thing that actually creates change, is the relationship itself, that genuine human connection between two people working together. There is a beautiful concept for this from the philosopher Martin Buber. He called it an I-thou relationship. It's all about a real, direct, and respectful connection. The therapist isn't some cold, distant expert looking down at you. They're more like a fellow traveler, right there with you, on your journey, exploring things together. So what's the goal of all this? Well, it's really about getting you to see things more clearly, to help you stop fooling yourself, to face your anxieties head on, and to take action. It's about inviting you to really think about your life, and maybe most importantly, to clear out all the stuff that's getting in the way of you living a life that actually feels meaningful. The takeaway, creating your meaning. All right, let's boil this all down. What's the bottom line here? What's the big idea from all of this that you can actually use in your own life, like right now? It really comes down to these four things. Number one, you are free, always. You get to choose how you act and what attitude you take. Two, with that freedom comes responsibility. You're in charge of building your own life. Three, meaning isn't out there waiting to be found. You create it through your choices and commitments. And four, anxiety isn't the enemy. It's actually a signal. It's proof that you care, and it's a call to live even more fully. Viktor Frankl loved this quote from Nietzsche. He said it should be the motto for all therapy, and you can see why. He who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. It just nails the whole idea, doesn't it? If you have a powerful reason to get up in the morning, a real purpose, a why, you can get through almost anything life throws at you, anyhow. And so that really leaves us with one final and I think crucial question. This whole thing isn't just some abstract theory, it's an invitation. So knowing that you're the one holding the pen, that you are the author of your life, what story are you going to write?